We've got a big week this week, Bulls Nation, with free agency beginning Friday evening. We'll obviously know by then whether Nikola Vucevic and the Bulls have reached an extension or if he hits free agency. We'll know whether Drummond is exercised or declined his player option. And of course, there will be all kinds of trade rumors and speculation in between, potentially even some trade deals that go through this week. So a lot that will be happening around the NBA. I cannot wait. And hey, AK did say in his press conference after the draft, they're going to get to work and figure out their stuff, and how all the fans that have been angry and upset, they should wait to see what happens until after free agency. Well, I won't hold my breath, but we'll try and be optimistic that aggressive moves and changes will be made. And while we've talked about ideal free agents in the past that the Bulls should be looking at for this offseason, there is one player in particular who's actually not a free agent, at least not right now anyway, but could be. But one player who has been linked to the Bulls both last season and this past offseason as well, a player that has been said to have want to play with the Chicago Bulls. And while I don't think adding this guy would be a game changer for the Bulls by any means, I do think it is someone that is worth pursuing that could be a good fit on the roster in a low-risk, high-reward scenario, and that's the Lakers' big man, Mo Bamba, and it's what we'll be talking about in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, for those that don't know, Mo Bamba was actually a very highly touted prospect coming out of high school. Number 4 ranked recruit in the 2017 high school class, played his lone season in college at Texas, played well there, and while there were some concerns around his overall offensive game, you could see there was potential there and that he was improving his ability to finish around the rim, but then also shooting it from 3. Having that ability to space the floor being key in today's NBA. Not as much of a post-up game as scouts would like to see for a 7-footer, but regardless, he still ended up becoming a high draft pick, going 6th overall to the Magic. And while yes, the Magic knew that he was pretty raw, would be a project player that they would have to work on and develop right away in his rookie season, there were concerns on his viability of being a legitimate starting center in the NBA. His shot blocking wasn't as on point as it was in college. His overall timing and inability to box out on rebounds was an issue for a prospect they had just invested a number 6 pick into. Injuries also did become a concern as well, as Bamba wasn't able to stay healthy for a good portion of his rookie and sophomore season. And even when he was healthy, a lot of times he wasn't even cracking the rotation and not being a reliable backup to Nikola Vucevic. Now, it also didn't help that Bamba really didn't fit the Magic's overall roster. They already had a lot of big men. Vucevic was obviously their best player at the time, so it's not like he was going to be seeing much time on the floor coming off the bench anyway when Vuce was getting 35 to 40 minutes per game. But then, after Vucevic was traded to the Bulls, Bamba actually started showing some signs of progress in the 21-22 season, where he finally averaged double figures in scoring. He actually became a reliable outside shooter and post-up player. He shot 38% from 3 on 4 attempts per game. He had his most efficient season on offense and defense, finishing the year with 10.6 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks. And while there was speculation on whether the Magic would let him go in free agency as a restricted free agent or work out a sign and trade of some kind, especially after getting the number 1 pick in the draft and selecting Paolo Banchero, yet another big to add to the roster, as well as signing Bol, also another center, there were questions as to whether Mo Bamba, despite showing a lot of improvement, would still make sense for the Magic. But oddly enough, after being in trade rumors and also a bit of tension with the Magic coaching staff as well, the Magic signed him to a 2-year, $20 million extension last offseason. And I remember at that time being a little disappointed that the Bulls weren't able to pick him up on the market to add some size and rim protection to their roster. 2 things the Bulls greatly needed, and still do actually. But at that price point, even for his improvement, wasn't worth it to sign, especially when the Bulls didn't have that kind of money to sign him to the mid-level exception when going up against the luxury tax. But sure enough, Bamba did not fit with Banchero dominating in his rookie season, Wendell Carter Jr. getting the start over him. Bol was also showing out well, and ultimately the Magic decided to trade him at the deadline to the Lakers to get the money off of their books. And yeah, I don't really need to go into Bamba's time with the Lakers because it was pretty underwhelming. Only played 9 games, barely played in the playoffs, and really wasn't impactful at all for that group. So you're probably thinking, if Bamba is barely able to crack the rotation, the Magic didn't want him, he's pretty average, why do you want to take a chance on him for the Bulls? Well, here's the thing, like I mentioned, as of right now, Bamba is not a free agent. He has another year left on his deal to the tune of $10.3 million, but it's not guaranteed. It's not even partially guaranteed. And the Lakers have until June 29th to decide on whether to fully guarantee his salary for this upcoming season or waive him and let him hit free agency. I would be absolutely shocked if the Lakers fully guaranteed his deal to remain with the team for this upcoming season. There's no way with the amount of cap space they have, the fact that they're going to need to offer contract extensions to Austin Reeves, probably a big contract for him. They're going to need to work out Rui Hachimura and his contract, potentially D'Angelo Russell if they want to keep him as well. So to have Mo Bamba eat up over $10 million on their books for this upcoming season to just sit on the bench doesn't make sense. So I do want to be clear that if in fact the Lakers somehow fully guarantee his deal and he's owed $10.3 million and then they just look to trade him, then no, it's not worth it for the Bulls to pursue Bamba. Mo Bamba is not worth $10.3 million even if it's an expiring deal. That's going to take up too much on the Bulls' books if the expectation is still to remain below the luxury tax line. But if he is waived and he becomes an unrestricted free agent, that's an opportunity for the Bulls to get Bamba on a minimum deal or slightly above minimum deal for a one-year contract to take him as a flyer to see if they can get more out of him than the Lakers and Magic ever did. The Bulls would be able to use their biannual exception or part of their mid-level exception to sign him to a cheap one-year deal. I would say max $3 million. Anything more than that is not worth it. Ideally in the $2 million range, keeps the Bulls' payroll low, enables them to sign other players while remaining under the tax. What those other players look like, I mean, ideally shooters if they can make it work, potentially guys like Seth Curry or even Max Strus in an ideal world, although I'm sure he's going to command too much money, more than the mid-level exception. But for Mo Bamba, on a cheap, short-term deal, low risk, but gives the Bulls some added rim protection in the second unit, rebounding as well, and floor spacing, because as solid as Andre Drummond was coming off the bench behind Vucevic with his energy and crashing the glass and providing second chance opportunities for the Bulls, Drummond isn't going to be spreading the floor. Not a chance. He's not going to be taking jump shots, period, and is a liability late in games because of his poor free throw shooting. Mo Bamba, if the Bulls can expect him to shoot above average efficiency from deep, even if it's on lower volume, is still an upgrade for them. For what they need anyway, not saying that he's an upgrade from Drummond, but more so an upgrade for what the Bulls need currently. He is a better rim protector than Drummond with his shot blocking ability and quicker lateral footwork in staying on his man from the perimeter driving to the paint. And then the other piece, Bamba is still young. Dude just turned 26 last month, while Drummond is going to be 30 this year. I mean, if the Bulls want to seriously start thinking about their future, even if they want to maintain continuity, they need to be looking at how to also get younger, even on the margins in the second unit. The other thing I'll say is, and I'll concede, I'm likely the minority in this opinion, and I'll probably have to eat my words if Bamba ends up becoming so bad that he's out of the league in a couple of seasons, but I really do think that Mo Bamba is one of those players that has to be in the right situation for him to really thrive. Not in a role where a lot is expected of him as a high draft pick and falling below expectations like he did with the Magic, and a Magic roster that already had too many bigs as it is, and not on a Laker team that really only took on his contract to get off Patrick Beverley's deal at the trade deadline, but rather being on a team where he has a defined role, a skill set that is needed for a team that lacks rim protection, and a big that can space the floor in the second unit, which the Bulls also need. You've seen cases throughout NBA history where players were given up on by their respective teams, getting moved from team to team, and then suddenly find their place on the right roster and they break out. I'm not saying that's going to be the case with Bamba if the Bulls did get him, but it's worth taking a chance on. Like I said, on a cheap, short-term contract to see how he performs. You hope he has a breakout year, and then you already have him on the team with his bird rights to be able to sign him to a longer-term deal. And then if it doesn't work out, well, the good thing is you only have him on a one-year deal and you let him go. With the Bulls having limited options as it is with their cap sheet, this is one potential low-risk, high-reward scenario that they should pursue. I would love to hear what you guys think though. What do you think adding Mo Bamba to the roster would be like for the Bulls? Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.